Hello and welcome to a LEGO Marvel's superhero set review. Today we have a Spider-Man set, a set kind of based on what looks like the movies but also a bit of the TV cartoon Web Warriors with some other bits thrown in. So it's 76037 and it's called, it has a long name, I need to go and look this up, Rhino and Sandman Super Villain Team Up, etc, etc, lots going on. Here's the set. Anyway, so what we'll do, we'll look at some of the play features first, because they're actually the biggest part of this set. The figures we'll look at as well, because for a lot of people and collectors especially, they're a big draw for these sets, and we can have a look at those as well. So first of all, I'm going to clear these figures out the way, and what I'm going to do is kind of talk you through what you're supposed to be able to do with these sets and how each function works. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to not be using any of the figures in the set, the Spider-Man, A, because I'm going to talk about those later, and B, because you might have read about when it comes to super jumpers and some of the stuff Lego's doing, it can damage legs. So I'm just going to use a stunt Lego fig. He's got a crash helmet. He's going to be acting out all the special bits you can do, but just to kind of demonstrate, as you can see, the legs, I'm pulling on this now, and there is a technique, I'm sure, to get the legs off, do get stuck on pretty firmly. I've got quite a few sets now. All the newer sets seem to have this super jumper kind of playability, and I've got quite a few super jumpers that I don't use, to be honest, because of that reason, that the figures get stuck on, and apparently the legs get a bit warped and this sort of stuff. Haven't really seen that myself, but I don't use them, so it's not a problem. But I'm guessing we're going to see a lot of the super jumper technology and the toys, maybe a bit adapted for the Angry Birds Lego that's going to be coming out potentially end of this year, but probably early next year. So the three sort of play features, if you like, on the set are all kind of highlighted by, or two of them are highlighted by these caution signs. So first of all, your super jumper, Spider-Man in the comic on the back of that comes with the set, hits the sign and the web comes up. The idea is our Rhino fig and mech is then trapped in the building site. So it kind of makes sense that we look at the next super jumper play feature that's linked to that. You may have noticed just about in the top of the frame there, I kind of moved the camera up a bit. There is a large crane that does spin. I've attached the web in there, that's not supposed to be necessarily there. So you position the rocks above the Rhino, and this is where I haven't been able to do this. Our super jumper from this sort of side launches up and hits the crane. So I'll kind of demonstrate that just by going ta-da, the rock falls down, Rhino is defeated. So that's kind of how that's supposed to work. It lifts back up with that lever and sits there. So it's a bit tricky, but it's kind of an extra thing for you to kind of play with and look to do. The third and final one, which I'll demonstrate now, is this top left. As you can see, a figure goes in Sandman's claws. He's sat up here, being Sandman, all bad, grr. And the idea is the super jumper is going to fly up, hit that caution sign, and release our hero. I'm not very good at super jumpers, as you can see. I'll have one or two more goes. Closer. Oh, I hit it, yay! So anyway, he falls out, the thing goes back, and I don't know if you can see, under this sand trap, there's some jewels that have been hidden away. The heroes have uncovered the stolen stuff. So that's kind of the play features. There's another giant Lego hand over here that's held on by just a single stud, square tile. We do also have some loose bricks that are only held on by a single stud as well, so they can be knocked over by the super jumper. So if I was a kid, if I was 8, 9, 10 years old, maybe a bit older, I'd be looking at this going, yeah, loads of stuff I can do. I could play with that, sit with that, set them all up. I remember when I was playing with toys as a kid, I would set it all up, ready for a big kind of finale where everything was getting knocked over, all the story was playing out. So there's lots for this set in terms of playability. A couple of stickers. The build itself is fairly straightforward. It goes into 3 sections. So we've got left hand section with Sandman and Spider-Man. We have a middle section and then a final section on the right hand side as well. And then the mech starts off the build as well, and we'll talk about that in a bit more detail. So overall the build itself is okay. The crane is quite good. You could use that in other things. If you were building a town, city, you could put that crane up there. It's got a bit of playability. The giant sand hands are a nice feature. They kind of do look like hands just about, when they don't have fingers that fall off. So overall as a set, yeah, it's got some nice features. But the big draw for collectors and adult fans like me will be the figures. So let's have a look at them. So as I said, the big draw for the figures, the set itself, might be for some people the figures. First of all, the kind of title character is Spider-Man, so we'll have a quick look at him. In terms of head and torso, exactly the same as we've seen before, but a lot of people kind of talking positively or negatively about the fact he's now got red boots, which kind of matches the comics and the look of Batman a bit more, so that's a nice feature. When I stand this Spider-Man up with any other Spider-Man I've got, the difference is literally just those boots. So I've kind of dig one out from my little collection here. It is literally just that. But you know what? If it's a new Spider-Man, it's still interesting, but I'm going to talk about him the least because he's not the most exciting. Next up, however, is a new addition to the roster. 2015 we've had the Miles Morales Spider-Man, we've had a new Carnage figure as well, and now we have Iron Spider, who's got some tech from Tony Stark, which is basically 4 of these gold claws attached by a square single stud with the 4 holes on it. So I'll just take that off because I'm going to take those off anyway, and that just fits to the back like most of these figures with a little neck brace piece. I will take that off so you can see the back print and we can see all the printing on this fig, because it is a nice fig. It is fairly straightforward but again, it's kind of like Spider-Man, when it's a new figure it's always appreciated and it's nice to have something extra. The back does have a bit of printing, which again, like Carnage in this year's wave, is missed because of the stuff going on the back, but you can take that off and it's a nice bit of gold printing there, gold hands as well. So that's cool, nice addition to the collection if you've got a few Spider-Men or you've got an interest in that sort of Web Warriors show as well, which I know a lot of kids love. Moving on to the villains, we have Sandman. Now he's probably my favourite minifigure in this wave. It looks amazing printing on the front. You can see half of his torso is becoming sand. His arm is all sand, and that transfers onto the back as well. He does have a dual-sided face, so he's got the angry face with the Count Dooku Dracula hair, but in brown, so that's a nice new feature as well. And then he has a kind of normal facial expression, and you get this sort of mini build piece which is representing or supposed to be like an extension of his arm, which forms a hammer. Nice little piece of an ice cream cone and some other tan pieces there as well. So that was nice extra bit. And when he does sit on top of the play set, he kind of blends into the background. Those big sand hands form part of his own. So last but not least, we'll just have a quick look at Rhino, or the Rhino mech with Rhino inside. So again, this set seems to be a bit based on the movies. So this character looks very much like any sort of comic version of Sandman, but some of the construction site is taken from Spider-Man 3. The Rhino character with the mech again seems to be taken from Amazing Spider-Man 2, because in the Web Warriors comic he is grafted to the suit, and in the comics he is the suit is part of him. But here it's definitely much a mech. He's got kind of a die-hard printing on his torso, the vest there, braces, well, harness, and then the face printing just one side because he is bald, so you don't need kind of hair to cover up the second face. So that's cool. He sits inside the mech, which has this nice sort of lock-in cage mechanism, and then the head can come down. So just see that from the side. Again, nice printing, comes together really well, and actually has a really simple mech. It doesn't have a huge amount of pieces. It's a quick build, just one sticker on the side. It does come together really well, and we've got the white L-shaped guns that I've seen in another set, which I can't remember. Someone will tell me, I'm sure. And they fire single white studs and hit whoever you're aiming them at. It does have a little bit of posability. There's a bit of limit with the ball joints, but it does move around fairly well, and it does stand up fairly stably as well, he says, as it falls over. Smooth. So overall, the figures are really strong. The mech really stands out. That's something I'm going to put on my shelf and it will look good. And I've got the exosuit and Emmett's battle mech and a few other Hulkbuster mechs. Those sort of things are all going to look really good together. And it seems to be a big trend for Lego at the moment to make these mech suits. Not complaining. Love them. More please. So that's the figures. Set overall is really good. Good build. But for the price, I managed to use some of my Lego vouchers, so it was like £5–10 off. Made it worthwhile. But other than that, only if you really love Spider-Man and you're collecting Spider-Man heroes and villains. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.